had gotten a hold of the leasing agent, and they proceeded to, she had proceeded to come to the property, and the officer was still there on standby. He didn't, I guess, have authority to go gain entry or enter the property there.
Did you understand that Sean Griggs, who was on the lease stand, gave permission for friends of Rachel to go in the apartment?
Yes.
And with that permission, did you and she enter the premises?
Yeah, we entered the property.
Tell me.
I think that Sean had gotten a hold of the leasing agent, and they proceeded to, she had proceeded to come to the property, and the officer was still there on standby. He didn't, I guess, have authority to go gain entry or enter the property there.
Did you understand that Sean Griggs, who was on the lease stand, gave permission for friends of Rachel to go in the apartment?
Yes.
And with that permission, did you and she enter the premises?
Yeah, we entered the property.
Tell me what you saw when you in the living room area when you entered.
Well, when I went in,
Can y'all hear me now? Can y'all hear me now? Y'all still can't hear me? Oh, okay. So I can hear me. Why y'all can't damn hear me? What's up, y'all? Y'all still can't hear me? Okay. All right. So hopefully this damn video play too though. What's going on, everybody? So I'm gonna start it over. I'm sorry, y'all, my little test dummies today on this. I'm trying to get like I'm not gonna learn it unless I start using this shit. You know what I mean? Like so I'm gonna play the video. I'm gonna wait for y'all to comment. Let me know if y'all can hear it. So okay, this is day one, part two. And remember this who's on the stand is her best friend who found her. Okay. So the Anthony Pardon trial, we on day one, part two. We're gonna pretty much cover a lot today because they already on day four right now. I was watching today. So hold on, let me see if I did these speakers right. If not, y'all could just bear with me, please, please. So so I can fix it. They already on day four. Nope, y'all can't hear it. Hold on. Hold on. Y'all can't hear that, right? Okay. Nope, y'all can't hear it. Hold on. All right, y'all. Give me 1 second. Let me see something. What you say, Essence? Since we test dummies, let me put myself. Yeah. Hey, Global. Oh, let me do something right quick before I do that. Hold on a second, y'all. Hey, I'm gonna speak to everybody in just a minute. Just this damn, I don't understand why this have to be so damn hard. It's still damn, a Microsoft or whatever. I don't. Either y'all can hear me or you can't hear me. Give me a second. I just gotta take care of something. Yeah, this dude downstairs, I swear to God, I don't know why he won't get a damn key. All right. So, okay, I got that done. Now, let me go back to this audio. I don't. What does this mean? Whatever. Whatever. Okay, so my mic is on, but why? All right. Wait a minute, y'all. I'm gonna get it right. I promise. a minute, y'all. All right, this is what we're gonna have to do. All right, this is what we're gonna have to do. So when I click on the case,
had gotten a hold of the leasing agent, and they proceeded to, she had proceeded to come to the property, and the officer was still there on standby. He didn't, I guess, have authority to go gain entry or enter the property there.
Did you understand that Sean Griggs, who was on the lease stand, gave permission for friends of Rachel to go in the apartment?
Yes.
And with that permission, did you and she enter the premises?
Yeah, we entered the property.
Tell me what you saw when you in the living room area when you entered.
Well, when I went in, the living room is to the left. It looked like she had a food and drink there. There was a bowl packed on the coffee table, and it looked like she was about to smoke a cigarette there as well. Yeah.
Did you notice anything? Did you go into the kitchen?
Well, immediately when the front door was opened and I was allowed in, the first thing I saw that was her birthday cake was sitting on her little kitchen table. So as you enter the property, there's a hallway that goes straight through to the kitchen. And the cake was sitting there, not put away. And Rachel's
okay. So, world, can y'all hear me now? No. Okay, so I have a okay, I got a new laptop, right? It's not a Chromecast, it's a Windows, right? So either you can hear the video or you can't hear me, or I can hear me and y'all can't hear the video. So let me show you. Like now y'all can hear me, right? So watch when I try to play the video because I had to change so y'all can hear me. Now, I can hear the video, but can y'all hear the video? See? So that's what I mean. I don't know what setting. It's giving me on the StreamYard, right? So you know how the settings are, right, with the audio. So I have to put it to default for y'all to hear me. But when I put it on default for the mic to hear me, then the speaker don't play. So I don't know which setting it is. They got 3 different settings. It says speaker, headphone 2, speaker, headphone 2, Realtek audio, and speaker/headphone 2 Realtek. So which one would that be? You know? Okay, let me drop the link. Oh, that's the link you was asked for. Duh. My bad. Just so frustrated. Like I don't want to use my old computer. Oh. There you go. I dropped the link. Can you hear me? I dropped it. I'm gonna wait for World to come on, y'all. Because I couldn't see the chat from the screen I was looking at, so I didn't see he was telling me to drop the link. My bad. If y'all can hear me. Is he still in here? Okay, I see you. Yeah, there you go. My bad. I didn't know you was telling me to drop this link. Oh, I'm glad you came in here today. Jesus Christ. World.
What's up, meat? What's good?
Hey. So I'm sorry. I wouldn't even know
Okay.
a different screen. So I didn't see the chat.
Yeah, I said you weren't looking at the chat. It's all good. All right. So let me ask you this first. So you using StreamYard? You said what kind of computer you got?
It's a Microsoft Windows 10.
Okay. Can you show me what's on your screen?
Which for the
When you screen share, wherever the difficulty is that's in your settings, share that. Like when you go down there to the bottom at that screen and hit share, once that it comes up, it's going to give you 3 options. And of those 3 options, the one that you're going to pick is the tab. And go to the tab of whatever that you're looking at. And then once I can see it, I'll just walk you through it.
Can you see
that's
it?
Let me see now. Hold on for a second. Because I got this on pause. Wait a minute. Look at see. Hold on. Hold on for 1 second. No, I don't. I don't see anything. I just see the screen of the guy that's related to this case that you're talking about.
Right. So what is it you want me to share again? This is what I'm trying to play.
Yeah, no. Listen what I'm saying. I understand that. I want you to go to your settings so I can walk you through it and help you so you don't have to do that.
In the settings in StreamYard. Where it says cam and mic?
No, where it says screen share. Push screen share.
It's telling me to stop. Well, I already shared. I'm sharing this screen. So you want me to stop sharing that screen and start over?
I need to see the screen that you're talking about so I can help you.
Okay, let me stop sharing that. Yeah.
That's all
So,
it is.
okay, so now I'm back. So hit share screen, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And it has your entire screen, application window, a Chrome tab.
Go to Chrome
Oh,
tab.
share
Right.
audio.
Uh-huh.
Wait a minute. So hit share audio,
Uh-huh.
and then hit Chrome tab, or
Uh-huh.
okay, and then hit that case or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, and hit share.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna push
Okay, now
play.
play it.
Okay,
Started going up the staircase.
Okay.
There was,
so y'all can hear it.
some pictures knocked up
Mhm.
in her
See, all
Maryland,
you do is the difference. Let me
which I
Let me
explain
push
thought was
something
a
to
pause
little
so I can hear
strange.
you.
Let me
Um,
explain
Let me
something
push
to you.
pause. Okay.
All right, this is the difference between a computer and a phone.
Okay.
A phone requires permission. A computer doesn't. So what the computer is going to do is it's going to ask you for two different microphones. One is a default and the other one is internal. Whenever that you have default, that means that you don't have to have a microphone.
Okay.
That's just like when you hear me, like when I sound like real loud, that's because I got the microphone on. But if I don't turn the microphone on, the settings that I have to use for audio is default, because default is going to pick up you talking and it's going to pick up the audio of the video that you're showing. But if you only have it on microphone, they're only going to be able to hear you and they're not going to be able to hear the video that you're showing.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you came in. I'm glad you looking on YouTube.
Oh, you
I was
good.
struggling.
See now, so now you talking. Hold on for a second. Let me see something. Because now you talking, and let me make sure that all of your defaults is correct. Okay. Yeah. Now push the video one time. Let it play like 10 seconds. I'm about to listen to it.
Okay.
All right.
Where was this Maryland Monroe
It's
located in the apartment?
it's on the staircase hanging on the wall.
And it was not there.
It was not even there, and I don't know what made me realize that, but that was gone. I proceeded to go up the staircase, and I didn't even go into her room yet. I went right.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha. Because I put my headphone in on my phone. So now we can hear everything.
There you go. You got it now. See, always remember that and keep your settings just like that, and then you
Okay.
good. Don't ever, you know what I'm saying, single it out with your microphone.
Right.
And you straight.
Okay. I got a
All right,
microphone.
I'm going back to my
Hold on, where I got a microphone coming in the mail. So I probably gonna need your help for that to set that up.
That's cool. It ain't no thing. Just whenever. You already know. Just hit me. I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
All right, facts. I'm getting back to the show.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, y'all. So I'm just gonna leave him backstage. All right, y'all. So now let me start it over. Okay, so now here we go. Day one, part two. This is her best friend. Rachel's best friend. He's the one actually found her.
I think that Sean had gotten a hold of the leasing agent, and they proceeded to. Well, she had proceeded to come to the property, and the officer was still there on standby. He didn't, I guess, have authority to go gain entry or enter the property there.
Did you understand that Sean Griggs, who was on the lease thing, gave permission for friends of Rachel to go in the apartment?
Yes.
And with that permission, did you and she enter the premises?
Yeah, we entered the property.
Tell me what you saw when you in the living room area when you entered.
Well, when I went in, the living room is to the left.
Oh wait, y'all.
It looked like she had.
I apologize, everybody, but I didn't do my ritual. Let me go down the list. Let me speak to everybody. I appreciate y'all patience too, and I really appreciate World for helping with that because I was just so damn confused. All right. Hello, Black Panther. Natty, Rachel, SMTH, Jen JT. A Jokey. Is that how you say it? I can't never say your name right. I'm so sorry. We got who else? We got Global Family TV. Lily Gal, of course, World. Who else we got? Patty. Hey, Patty. Danielle, what's going on? African Goddess, what's happening? All right, y'all, let's get into this case because I have I'm gonna play a few parts today. Like I said, we very much behind. They on day 4, so we still on day 1, part 2. And we still got another part in day 1. So I know I'm gonna finish day 1, and I'm gonna try to do day 2.
Food and drink there. There was a bowl packed on the coffee table, and it looked like she was about to smoke a cigarette there as well. Yeah.
Did you notice anything? Did you go into the kitchen?
Well, immediately when the front door was opened and I was allowed in, the first thing I saw that was her birthday cake was sitting on her little kitchen table. So as you enter the property, there's a hallway that goes straight through to the kitchen. And the cake was sitting there, not put away. And Rachel's a very organized person that would have put that away the first chance that she got.
Oh yeah, this is much better than yesterday.
After inspecting the lower level of the apartment, what did you do next?
So after I had checked the downstairs and gone through the kitchen into the laundry room, I had turned back around. There was a closet next to the staircase that I checked. And as I started going up the staircase, there was, some pictures knocked to the side, and her Marilyn Monroe picture was gone, which I thought was a little strange.
Where was this Marilyn Monroe
It's
located in the apartment?
It's on the staircase hanging on the wall.
And it was not there.
It was not even there. And I don't know what made me realize that, but that was gone. I proceeded to go up the staircase, and I didn't even go into her room yet. I went right to the bathroom.
By the way, he didn't want his face
shown.
shown.
I did that is because every morning Rachel gets ready for work. So I went into the bathroom, opened the door, felt the towel to see if it was wet, to see if she had left or something. I went into the spare room.
What did you find with the towel?
It was dry. It was dry. I went into the spare room that we were helping her get together, and nothing seemed out of place. From there, I turned around and walked towards her room, looked around. It was quite out of place, considering how it normally is. And then I noticed that there's a closet door there, which I never had noticed because it's normally open and flush with the headboard. And I went to pull the door handle, and it felt like something was pulling it back, and I pulled it, and there was something tied around the door handle. So I pulled it out, and here came Rachel. She was tied up in the closet.
And what did you do next, John?
I lost my shit. I screamed and pleaded that she was okay. I tried to see if I could help her. I was screaming for her. But any direction that I pulled her, it just seemed like I was choking her. So I started screaming and I ran out.
Ran downstairs, and did you advise the police officer was downstairs what you had found?
Yeah, I completely lost my mind. I was trying to get him to go back in there.
There were cords around the doorknob.
Yeah.
That is on the outer part of that closet. Did you notice whether or not there were cords over the top?
I wasn't fully aware if it was on the outside of the door, but when I grabbed the handle and pulled it, it was clearly wrapped around the inside of the door. That's a for sure. That's a for sure yes.
I'm going to, Mr. Kennedy, put up a few photos of some of the things you have testified about and ask you to identify them for us. There is an item that's previously been identified as State's Exhibit A1. Can you tell us what is shown in that photo?
In that photo is a lamp and a chair that were already sitting outside of the property when I arrived.
Now, is this the address we're talking about where Rachel lived, 3044 Allegheny Avenue?
Yes.
In the apartment complex?
Yes.
Here's a photo also previously identified, State's Exhibit A6. Can you tell us what that appears to? Hey, y'all, did y'all see my thumbnail? Did y'all see that thumbnail? It said this how people sleep when they gossip all day. Did y'all see that? This shit was kind of funny to me when I seen that because it is people that gossip all motherfucking day. Like, ain't y'all tired? So we're gonna get back to it. And this poor woman, y'all, wait till we get further into this case.
Yeah. That's her yoga mat with her coffee table we would sit around.
Okay, Rachel.
That her couch in the living room that we talked about?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it is.
And there is, it's like the
beanbag chair and pillow on the floor is normal because she liked to sit right there. Because if she was on the couch, she would lay down.
Here is another angle of an item previously marked for purpose of identification as State's Exhibit A5. Is that a different angle in the same living room?
Yes.
And does there appear on the table to be a cup of some kind of liquid with a straw coming out of it?
It definitely looks like an Arby's cup.
Here in the witness,
I thought it was funny as hell.
This is an exhibit not previously marked and identified, but will be later in this case, State's Exhibit A165. You mentioned a birthday cake. Is that the birthday cake you saw?
That's it right there. We wrote that out and made that for her.
And is that the cake that you and your friends made for the party the day before?
Yes, sir.
And did she take that home with her after the party?
Yes.
Also marked for purposes of identification, I'm going to ask you to look at is State's Exhibit A46. The closet door in Rachel's bedroom, is that appear as you saw it that day on January 29th?
That's only a slight representation of what I saw that day, yes.
If you see coming from the door handle of that closet, it appears to be a white item going down towards the floor. Did you notice that when you were there?
Yes, whenever I grabbed the outside of the door handle and I pulled the first time, I noticed that there, and I pulled by the door and the cable because it was so tense on the inside.
From your observations, did it appear Rachel was deceased at this time?
At first, I wasn't fully aware and I tried to help her, but after that time, I realized that she was dead.
Here is a closer photograph, State's Exhibit A99, that will be identified by some others later. Is that appear to be how Rachel was found by you in the closet that morning, January 29th?
Yes.
Did you that morning, Mr. Kennedy, then remain at the premises and give a statement to the police?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did the police, as we saw when State's Exhibit A1, put crime scene tape around the entrance and secure the premises?
I don't know. I was in a police vehicle in what they call a paddy wagon, I guess.
And is that where you gave your statement to detectives when they arrived at the scene?
Yeah, I was. Yes, sir.
Going back to the night before, do you have a time frame when you think Rachel may have picked up the key?
I'm not absolutely certain of the time that it was.
There were some texts back and forth that may be able to identify or narrow the time frame. Would that be correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had a minute, Your Honor.
You may.
Could y'all imagine finding y'all friend and then the police start treating you like a suspect because you went and checked the closet like her ex-roommate asked them to? I don't. It's a lot going on in this case right now. But anyway, to find your friend like that and then, you know,
Mr. Kennedy, based on your contact with Rachel, were you familiar with her car?
Yes.
And when you arrived there, did you find her car parked in front of her house or somewhere else?
It was on the side of the property, which is completely out of the ordinary.
From your past experience, would she typically park in front of the house or in the location you found it that
She
day?
parked right in front of that house. She did not trust that place. So she wanted to be as close to the door as possible.
Now, on the night of a birthday party out at your apartment, you mentioned buying provisions for the party. Most of the people there were in their early, mid-20s. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And was marijuana or weed present at the party? And did most of the people there smoke marijuana that
Yes, sir.
And within Rachel's apartment, did she keep a small jar of marijuana to your knowledge?
Yes, sir, definitely.
Were you familiar with where she kept that?
Yes, sir.
And did you see it there on the 29th when you were there and found her body?
No, I did not.
That was missing.
Yes, sir, it was. It was missing from the location that it's always at.
The room upstairs that you described, did it appear that it was how you may have observed it in the past, or did it appear in any kind of disarray?
It appeared to be in disarray.
And Rachel was 24 years old on that Saturday that you had the birthday party for, correct?
Yes.
I have no other questions, John. Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Thomas will have some questions.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I can get you
I'll be right
back in
back,
the jury room, let's say at 3:05, and we'll get you back in here as close to that time as we can. Again, remember the admonitions that I've given you with respect to discussing this case among yourselves or with anyone else. All rise for the jury.
Mr.
Good
Brown.
afternoon, Mr. Kennedy.
Good afternoon.
I'm Larry Thomas. We've never met, have we? I know this is probably tough, but I need to ask you a couple questions, kind of clarify your testimony and what you remember about this.
Yes, sir.
If I ask you a question and you don't understand, just stop me.
Roger that.
And I'll try to rephrase it or do something to make you understand the question better,
Yes, sir.
okay? Mr. Kennedy, you indicated that Well, I'm gonna take you back first. I'm gonna take you back to January 28th of 2018. Were you working then, sir? Were you employed?
Yes, I was employed.
Okay. Where were you working?
I was working for Avail Vapor. It's a e-liquid manufacturing company.
No state.
And where was that?
So I started off near downtown, and then I ended up working in Powell from that point forward.
And how often did you work? Was it a 40-hour week or?
Yeah, I would say 46, 48 hours a week.
Do you remember the conversation about when you were in Athens with your sister? Were you working then when you were living in Athens?
Yes, sir. I was working in Athens.
And what were you working? What were you doing there?
I had two jobs. I was a bouncer at a bar, Cat's Eye Saloon, and I also worked for BP, which is like a convenience store, gas station type deal.
And if correct me if I'm wrong, when you moved to Columbus, Rachel Anderson already lived here.
She was there, yes, sir.
Okay, and you knew where she lived.
I didn't know where she lived prior to the move, but when Haley got us both in contact, I did. Mhm.
So when you were indicating to these folks that you helped move some of her stuff, you didn't move her stuff to Columbus.
So I moved some of her things after she was already there.
You had 2 years to think about this case, right?
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you now, you were interviewed by police back in 2018, is that correct?
I was only interviewed by police one time for this particular case. It was in the back of that wagon they had me in.
And do you know when that was?
It was on the day of the incident. And that was the only time I had discussions with police directly.
Do you remember who the police officer was or the detective that conducted the interview?
I believe the detective was Tim Welsh, and then there was another gentleman, but my memory is a little bit frazzled of being in the back of that wagon that day.
You thought you were being illegally detained?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Prior to coming here today, did you have an opportunity to review that interview?
No.
You've never heard your interview with Detective Welch?
I haven't heard the interview. I've read a testimony from my day of.
So you read a transcript of your interview?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you may.
Once you read that summary, did that refresh your recollection as to the statements you gave on the day you were interviewed by Detective Welch?
Yeah, it brought everything back.
I don't see how it's close to 50 degrees. Okay. Thank you.
Do you recall what you told Detective Welch when he asked you what time Rachel came to pick up her key?
From what I read, I said it was in that statement. I said it was 9:30, but that wasn't an exact representation because of the state of mind I was in at the time.
Tell the members of the jury, what state of mind were you in?
I had the feeling of impending doom. I was scared. I didn't know how to react or about what I had seen. I was scared.
Were you high?
No, I was not.
Yeah, so was he happy?
I had just woken up.
You had just woken up?
Yeah, but whenever I went over there to the property that morning, I was only awake for, I would say, maybe 2 hours.
Listen to this one. Were you high? What the fuck that got to do with finding my friend dead?
Did you get high back then?
Do you mean the day of?
Yeah, or let's go back to, I think Mr. O'Brien talked about a party you were at, and I believe you already said, yes, I was smoking weed.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So you were getting high back then, right?
Yes, sir.
And it wasn't just weed, was it?
It was just marijuana I was getting high on. Mhm.
Let me ask you, Mr. Kennedy, what is a Molly?
Molly, I believe, is like pure ecstasy, I suppose.
And is your testimony here today that at the party for Rachel, y'all wasn't doing Mollies, or you weren't doing Mollies?
No, sir. Nobody was at that party. The only thing that we did at that party was we smoked marijuana and we were drinking.
What about acid?
That was not a current thing at that party. No.
But you've done acid, say, in the year 2018.
Yes, sir.
And you've done Mollies in the year of 2018.
Yes, sir.
And you smoked weed in 2018.
Yes, sir.
It's just you didn't smoke weed at that celebration. I mean, you didn't have acid or Mollies at that celebration.
No, sir.
For birthday. Are they hallucinogenics? Do they make you hallucinate?
Acid is hallucinogenic. Yeah. Mhm.
What about Sherm? What about Sherm? Do you know what Sherm is? Sherman?
I have no idea what Sherm is.
You ever heard of weed being dipped in formaldehyde?
No, sir.
You never heard of that?
No,
Why
sir.
is he talking about all that bullshit?
Drinking alcohol?
Repeat the question.
Were you drinking alcohol?
The day of the party?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this. You said y'all were good friends. Did you ever go to Rachel by yourself?
There was only one time that I had been over there by myself, and she was not present. There was an issue with her fish tank that I was going to take care of, which failed, which resulted in us getting rid of the fish tank.
So what you're saying is that during this time that you've known Rachel and her living on Allegheny, it's your testimony that you were never there with her alone.
No, sir. Mm-mm.
Did you get high over there?
We smoked weed over there, yes, sir.
Is that all you did over there?
That's all I have done over there. I have drank alcohol and smoked weed at that property.
You don't get high now, do you?
I still smoke marijuana, yes.
You still smoke?
Damn, man. Mr. Brown.
But you don't do any other drugs?
No, not ever since Rachel passed.
So other than that, you still drink a little bit,
Still drink a little bit.
but that makes you clean. A little marijuana, a little alcohol.
Yep, a little bit of both.
Did your appearance change from back in January of 2018 until you're here today?
Did you ask if my parents changed?
Your appearance, I'm sorry,
Oh, my appearance?
your appearance.
Yes, sir. I've dropped 43 pounds. I cut my hair off, cut off a lot. I mean, I've completely changed my life.
Completely changed.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, that was a witness.
You may.
Already shown. Approach you with what's been marked Defendant's Exhibit 2.
Mhm.
Mr. Kennedy, tell me what's in that.
That's me and my ex-wife at a Planned Parenthood event. It was like a donation event for it. Yeah.
And that's how you used to look?
Yeah.
You already asked to publish.
Any objection?
Not from the state.
Okay, you may.
Can everybody see? Might have eyes like Larry. And that was the old Jonathan Kennedy.
Yes, sir. That's me and my ex-wife there.
You and Tina no longer together?
No, this destroyed our relationship and every beautiful thing we had with it.
Y'all moved together to Colorado and broke up out there, or did you break up here?
We broke up out there.
You remember when y'all broke up?
Yeah.
When?
June 13th of this past year.
Okay.
Huh? What you say? Well, I still got some though. Right. I forgot to tell you.
I'm gonna take you back to the morning of January 29th. No, strike that, strike that. Let me ask you what you meant when you told the members of this jury that Rachel did not trust that area. What did you explain to the members of the jury what you meant by that?
It's a terrible, unsafe area that no one should be living at. It's filled with crime and drug addicts and people that appear to be criminals. It's a dangerous representation of what Columbus really is, and no one should be living in or near that area to prevent their own safety of the people that they love.
So when Rachel called you, well, let me ask you this. Straight. You know about the lock situation on her apartment, right?
What do you mean?
How you lock it. In other words, if I leave her apartment, right, do I need a key to lock it?
No, because you can lock it from the inside. You can unlock it with a key or lock it from the inside.
Let me make sure that you understand that I'm not confusing you. So if I leave her house and there's nobody inside, can I lock the door without a key?
From the outside of the building?
Yeah.
No.
You need a key to lock it, right?
Yes.
And I think even you wondered.
So the front, let me restate that. From the front door.
Yeah.
Now, anytime I was leaving, Rachel would, of course, walk us out and lock the door behind us. But if my memory serves correct, there are two locks. There's a deadbolt, which can only be accessed from the inside, and there's a door handle lock, which, of course, if you leave and were to lock that and shut it behind you, it would be locked.
Okay. That's your memory. So when Rachel left, even if she didn't have a key, she could lock her apartment, right?
She locked all the locks every time.
Here's my question. When you had talked to Rachel on the 28th, and she was coming to get a key, you didn't indicate to the police in your interview that there was no way she could lock her house without that key?
No, there was not a statement, and I was belligerently sad at that time. I was answering what was being asked and not saying more than needed to be said at the time.
Let's assume for a minute that she needed that key to lock her door when she left.
Mm-hmm.
In that neighborhood, and she called you, would you have taken her key?
Well, I wouldn't have.
Y'all see where he's trying to go with this, even though everything he's asking them is irrelevant?
Had the key, sir. That was on Tina.
Was Tina with you
At what time?
when she asked for the key?
Yes, Tina was with me. And she asked Tina for the key and came over and got it.
So you didn't have no concerns about her being out asking for a key on January 28th
Well, of course,
of 2018?
of course I had concerns. I mean, she didn't have her key. She had to come over to get her key to get in,
To get in, right.
yeah.
Unless she left it unlocked.
Unless she had it unlocked, sir. Yes, that's correct.
And you didn't have no problem having her come to your house to get the key from Tina, as opposed to you taking the key over so she wouldn't have that unsafe condition.
I didn't think somebody in the world was capable of doing something like that. So no, I didn't have that immediate concern. I was also about to fall asleep on the couch.
I'm sorry, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I mean, I thought the property was locked, and that's why she needed her key to get back in. I also don't know the specifics of if it was unlocked or locked already.
What if you thought that that was the case? Would you have taken her key?
Of course, I would have taken her the key.
Hey, Julia.
When you were interviewed by the detective, did you tell them about anything missing from Rachel's apartment?
Do you mean after she was deceased?
When you talked to the detective, how many detectives did you talk to, Mr. Kennedy?
I talked to 2 detectives.
Okay. Did you tell any of those detectives that something was missing from Rachel's apartment?
Yeah, a jar of marijuana was missing.
And you told these folks
Hello?
today
What is that, Denny?
that there were
Nay?
other items missing and disturbed.
How are
didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Now, you didn't ever tell that to any detective, did you?
No, sir.
Is that something that just came to your memory, or?
Yeah, give me a second. Let me see. I see some. I don't know if I don't know if you've been in here before, Julia. I could have sworn, yeah, but hi, welcome. I'm sorry if I say your name wrong. Welcome to the royal family. This is the case, Anthony Pardon. Right now he's on trial, so we're not gonna say he did it yet, but allegedly he's on trial for killing. I forgot her, Rachel. Got her last name. Sorry, y'all.
No, that day I was very upset. I just found my friend murdered in her residence. So my first concern wasn't to tell him about a picture missing on the wall.
Your first concern was to tell her about the jar of marijuana that was missing, right?
It was the first thing that came to my head when they asked me the question if anything was disturbed. But I was just trying to be honest.
You didn't tell them if anything was out of place, other than the fact that the only concern you had was a jar of marijuana, and you told them that if they found that marijuana, they could solve this case. Is that correct?
I don't recall that being exactly correct.
You gave Rachel scales in which to weigh marijuana, didn't you?
Yes, for her.
Come here closer with me, Sean.
You may.
State's Exhibit A60, A60.
Mhm.
Have you ever seen that?
That's the scale I gave to her.
That is the scale?
That's the scale I gave to her, you know?
Okay. Now, Coach,
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
You may.
I'm old school. I know y'all, I don't see this up there, right? This is the scale that he's pointing to. Everybody see? Okay? Nod your head at me, and I'll keep moving. What kind of scale is this, Mr. Kennedy?
I don't exactly recall what type of scale it is.
Is
But
it electronic?
yes, sir, it is a digital scale.
Everybody? And let me show you what's also under, see number 8? Again, for identification purposes, State Exhibit A60. See the number 8?
Mhm.
What's under that number 8?
A bowl.
Tell the members of the jury, what's the bowl?
You pack marijuana into it. That is a glass piece. It has a carb. You can cover the carb and release it whenever you're ready to hit it.
Is this got marijuana in it now? Can you tell from this picture? Here, you
It
go.
doesn't,
If you
it
want to.
doesn't, oh, I don't want to touch anything.
Okay.
No, it doesn't look like there's marijuana in that bowl.
Did you give Rachel that? Oh, here's the bowl, ladies and gentlemen. May I publish, John?
That's the same one?
Yes.
Yeah, 60. Yes.
This is the boat. You see in the back row? I'm always. I see it. See it under number 8? Under number 8. I might not be pointing at the right thing. Everybody see it? Did you go that boat?
Not that I recall, sir.
Were y'all smoking on that boat?
We've hit that boat, yes.
I think you indicated that you entered her apartment with the property manager.
Yes.
The black lady, her name was Lisa Richardson. You probably didn't know her.
I don't know her, yeah, but yes, that sounds accurate. Mhm.
And I believe you indicated that. Did you go to your right or did you go up the steps when you entered? If you remember.
When I entered the property, I went straight through to the kitchen. I overlooked the kitchen. I went into the laundry room, which is, if you enter the kitchen, it would be on the left side, and then you would take a left in that far corner. That is the laundry room. I proceeded to go back out to the hallway. There was a closet that separates the kitchen from the staircase, and I opened that closet, and then I proceeded to go up the stairs.
So when confronted by, and I believe Detective Welch was asking you, did you go directly to that closet? You got defensive, didn't you?
No, sir, I was very upset.
Did you call the property manager a bitch? That bitch don't know what she's talking about?
Yeah, potentially. She has no idea what she was talking about at that time. And
Well-
she is the one that stated that I went straight to the door. I did not state that.
And let me ask you this, and then you also indicated that you couldn't go in the bathroom to check the towel because she blocked your view and she blocked your entrance.
She moved out of the way, and I did proceed to check the bathroom.
But that's not what you said, is it?
I mean, I don't recall.
You don't have a smartphone, do you?
Yes, sir, I do.
Do you ever recall if you gave the detective your numbers?
Like for my phone?
Yeah, for your phone?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, he did have my phone number.
Did you give him your phone for any forensic examination?
They took the phones at the scene. Other than that, I'm unaware.
They took your phone too?
Yeah.
Okay. I believe you indicated that, maybe I misunderstood, but you indicated that you and, I believe you said John Anderson, planned a birthday party, got together and planned a birthday party for
So,
Rachel?
so everyone was planning the birthday party. Everybody involved wanted to give her a nice time. So it wasn't specifically John. John was in town, and we had worked on that.
So when you say everybody, what do you mean?
Ryan, Justin, John, me, Tina, the people that were at the party had planned the party.
So anybody who was in on the plan of the birthday party would not be surprised or shocked by the fact that you're having a birthday party for Rachel, would it?
No.
This wouldn't have been a surprise or shock to anyone, would it?
For having a birthday party for her?
Yeah, her first birthday party ever, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
She's never had a birthday party before, according to you. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's what she told me. She hadn't had a group of friends throw her a party like that.
You didn't say a group of friends. You said she never had a birthday party in her whole life, right?
Are you talking about the night that I first talked to the detective?
Yes.
I mean, if we're talking verbatim, then I guess I did say that to him then. Mhm.
Did you ever tell Rachel to move out that neighborhood?
Yes,
And I believe you indicated to the officer or the detective that there was drug dealers living on Rachel's left, if you're
Yes.
looking at her building,
yes,
right?
yes, sir.
And then you also said that there were creepy people, guys who peek in her window, living on her right.
So
Is that
there,
correct?
there was a creepy individual that she made it aware that lived next to her that made her feel uncomfortable. That's all I know about that situation.
I'm just asking what you told the detective. Did you tell the detective that there was a creepy
I don't
guy?
recall.
Okay.
Yeah, Rachel said, why is that lawyer being mean? It's like, I guess they got to do something because I don't see them winning this case, period. Like, I don't see them winning at all. Hey, Queen. Yeah, she texted me, told me she was working, but right now. But yeah, he is. He's been, I mean, what else he gonna do? I guess he just like try anything. But I don't think he has to be that mean to that man. That man is not a suspect. He's a witness.
And it was a bad neighborhood, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
When you went upstairs and opened the closet, your number one concern was you
He's getting
touching
kicked out? Huh.
the wires
What's wrong?
that bound Rachel, wasn't it?
That was not my number one concern whatsoever. It was a concern that I had, and I made the officers perfectly aware that I had touched that cable in order to pull her body out of the closet.
Right. And he found. I don't know why you keep getting. Is anybody else getting kicked out for live?
You said you had a smartphone.
Yes, sir. I had a flip phone and a smartphone that didn't have service at the time.
When this happened and you got on the phone, who was the first person you called?
Like after it happened?
Yeah.
Well, after I found her?
On the 29th, you talking on the phone. Who are you talking to? Who's the first person you called?
The first person that I called back was Kim. The second person that I called was Tina. And then I just kept going down the list. I called my dad. Yeah, I just called the people nearest to me. Kim was helping me with it, and I called her back right up. She was the first person that I called.
You didn't know Kim, did you?
No.
Okay.
But you knew Tina, your wife.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. You say you had a smartphone. Did you take any pictures?
Okay, Mom. Yeah, I do that all the time.
Celebration and all?
Especially
No,
with Queen
I didn't
on.
have any
She been a
pictures.
long time.
You didn't take any pictures.
No. I wasn't into photography at that time or capturing moments like that.
Are you on Facebook?
Yes, sir.
You on Instagram? You know what Instagram is?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I'm now a photographer, and I post stuff up there all the time.
John, excuse me, Mr. Kennedy, who is Angel and Jason Williams?
Angel was Rachel's friend, and Jason, I believe, is her husband.
And they were friends of Rachel's?
Yes, sir.
I believe you indicated that, and correct me if I'm wrong, did you say that Rachel had called the police on several occasions?
I don't recall. Well, she had called, I know she's called the police one time while being there due to noise violations to the left door of the door left of her property. But that's all I know about police being called out there.
So you don't remember her calling the police for anything else as far as you know?
No, sir.
Do you know what stalking is?
I have no idea what stalking is. What do you mean, like, in what reference? Like a stalker?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what a stalker is.
And you and Rachel didn't have any
Stop
sort
talking
of
about Natty. Who
personal
apologized?
relationship, did you?
Besides being friends, no, not whatsoever.
Nothing intimate?
Nope,
Talking
never.
about my video yesterday?
I believe you indicated, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm talking to the police, to Detective Welch. You indicated that you thought that the person who did this was waiting on her or waiting for her.
Yes, sir.
What did you mean? Explain that to me. What did you mean by that?
The scene that I walked into and the
Whoa,
property that I
whoa,
went
whoa,
to, it looked like,
Whoa. You talk about Anthony Pardon? Yeah. Is that who you talk about, Denise?
it looked like she was being waited on in the property.
Oh, okay. I didn't even notice y'all. I was trying to fix the computer chair. Hey, Barbara. Okay. As long as you listening, I'm cool with it.
It was your. Let's get me ask you, so you go to the apartment because your friend is missing, right?
Yes, sir.
And your first reaction is to go to the kitchen.
Oh,
Is that
wow.
correct?
Ooh.
Well, my first reaction was to look for my friend. I didn't have a direct instinct to go to the kitchen. I was just searching one floor at a time.
Okay.
Damn. So you live in that area or where this happened at?
Now, that's not a real big apartment, is it?
No.
Oh, yeah. You already opened it?
Living room is, how big would you say?
Not cold in here too?
Like from the edge of that desk to
Well,
the
but I
edge of
got
this
this
wall
one. You
to
got
the edge of
this.
that desk to here. Probably that's bigger, maybe. About the same size.
Have you ever spent the night over there?
Me and Tina have, yes.
Do you know what
Oh
time
yeah,
you
that
got back from
is good.
Athens?
He helped me out there.
I'm not entirely sure, but if I had to give you an estimate, I would say
Hey, Miss
probably
Carol,
between like
maybe.
4:30 and 5:30.
In the interview with Detective Welch, you said that when you gave times,
Right.
you were spot on,
And the way they killed
I
her
was
was terrible.
but you were not, were you?
I must not have been.
Okay. But you said that, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
I think you were asked by Mr. O'Brien about a candle that was. Tina, excuse me, did Rachel light a candle?
She used candles at the property, yes.
Tell the members of the jury, why would she normally light candles?
She liked the scent. She felt like it let off a good vibe and it made her feel it was something she liked. It was, she would always have a candle lit. If not a candle, she would light an incense, but it was more or less candles.
So she didn't light the candle when she smoked weed. She just light the candle for the.
When we smoked weed, she would light a candle.
And when you went over there on the 29th, there wasn't no candle lit.
When I would, no, not that I recall. Not when I had entered the property.
Did y'all smoke cigars together? Did you smoke cigars?
I was the cigar smoker.
You weren't?
I am a cigar
You are?
smoker.
What kind of cigars you smoke?
Anything from Monte Cristo, anything from like an Asher most of the time, Gold Label. Now, if we're talking a cigar as in like a Swisher, those would be to roll blunts. I definitely would never smoke that.
Tell the members of the jury, he talked so fast, I didn't understand.
So I am a cigar smoker. If it's in reference to any cigar at the property, it probably would have been like a Swisher Sweet or a Game Swisher that you would roll a blunt with by hand.
So if I was to, again,
Hey,
show
why
you
is he
what's
so
been marked
focused?
as
No,
Exhibit A60,
listen,
and
hold
I
on.
see these cigar blunts.
Why the fuck is this man so focused on smoking weed? What does smoking weed have to do with anything? Like, what the fuck does it have to do with anything? I don't get it. His whole focus is on smoking drugs and stuff. What they got to do with the lady being killed? God damn, Mr. Brown.
Or these, what those have been blunts,
Big headed ass.
you see those?
Those would be blunts.
Blunts
This
got-
is
what
an
the fuck blunts got to
actual
do?
cigar.
That's an actual cigar?
That's an actual cigar, and I'm pretty sure she got that from her dad, but I'm not entirely certain.
Oh, I'm sorry, for identification purposes.
The candle.
I should apologize.
Okay, this is what I got out of the candle. This was that was on the opening statements. They claimed that's why the manager made entry because the candle was burning. He was saying every time she smoked weed that she would burn the candles. But he's trying to prove, I guess that distraction, but I guess they're trying to prove that maybe they illegally went in and maybe he did it and that's why he was there. I think that's what I'm getting out of it. But that's what the candle is about. So we got about 10 more minutes on this video, then we're gonna go to part 3.
A matter of fact, I do know for certain that was, sorry.
So.
Could I read? So that cigar, this one here, I went with, I believe it was Tina, Rachel, and her dad to a cigar shop, and he purchased her that cigar.
So I just saw identification purposes. When you're pointing to the actual cigar on State Exhibit A60, you're talking about under the number 4,
Yes,
right
sir.
to the right of number 4.
Yes, sir.
And when you're talking about blunts, and so the jury's clear, blunts is where you mix it with the marijuana and smoke it?
Well, you don't mix the tobacco with the marijuana. You
Tell me
just
how you do it.
so
Allergies killing me.
you split it with like a cigar cutter or with your fingers. You empty the tobacco out because it's not even worth smoking, and then you get a little bit wet. You put weed inside of it, and then you flip it shut.
Okay. And when you were saying that are on top of the number
On
7.
top of the number 7, yes, sir.
Okay. So here I am again. On top of
You
number
can.
7 are the blunts.
His whole questioning
which you
is
just
that,
described.
Momo.
And the real cigar is by number 4. Blunts by number 7. Real cigar is by 4. They're hard to see.
Okay.
Blunts on top of 7. Real cigar by number 4. Okay? Everybody see? Rachel was known for having good weed, wasn't she?
What the fuck?
No.
She didn't have good weed?
She wasn't known for having good weed.
Okay. Her weed wasn't no good?
No.
Okay. Did you give her weed that was better?
So the particular situation pertained to the person that she got weed off of. It was
Yeah.
terrible, and he skimped her all the time and wouldn't give her the proper amount. So whenever I would go pick up my marijuana, we would put our money together and we would purchase it in bulk together.
And that was good weed, right?
I mean, it's no weed's good here, but it was kind of in the middle. It was all right.
Okay. All right, could I have 1 minute, please?
Okay.
Can you talk to Sean Griggs
In what context?
on the morning of the 29th?
Yes.
And did Sean Griggs tell you to
Right.
check the
Momo, he
phone?
act like he trying to find out where the plug at.
Were you and Sean talking about drugs?
If anything, it would have been weed,
Hey,
but
Mr.
I
Aquarius,
didn't
so
really
this is
associate
in,
with him with
Columbus, Ohio.
whatsoever.
Well, you were asked by Detective Welch what the conversation was about, and you didn't answer. So were you and Sean discussing, did Rachel have weed in her apartment prior to allowing permission for people to go in and search?
No.
That discussion never came up?
No.
Hey, Niedermeyer.
Me and Sean didn't talk like that. He was Rachel's boyfriend.
But he called you, I think you said.
We contacted each other that morning. I was trying to get access to go into the residence to make sure she was okay.
Did you and Sean get in an argument?
No, sir.
Yeah, it's another person in here knows the defendant. You didn't hear about this
Tell us
case?
what you meant when you said,
Aquarius?
you called Rachel a virus. What did you mean by that?
What do you mean?
Did you call Rachel a virus?
I don't know, not that I recall.
Did you and Rachel have any arguments?
Me and Rachel had never been into a confrontation ever.
So no neighbors or anybody would ever say that they thought you were her boyfriend and y'all were out there arguing?
No, there would be no
Hey,
way.
JD.
Okay.
Yeah, he is. He trying to find the plug.
When
It seemed
the
like to
police
me.
talked to you, did you tell them you had two phones?
Yes, sir.
You told them you had a flip phone?
He ain't talking nothing about this damn cat.
Yeah, not immediately. They took my my smartphone from me and left my flip phone on me. But they also yeah.
So that people and me, we're clear, on this day, you had two phones. You had a flip phone and a smartphone.
Yeah, my flip phone was $10 a month, and I couldn't afford a smartphone, so I just used it on Wi-Fi.
And on the day when the police asked you, you gave them the information for the smartphone, but not the information for the flip phone.
The only information I had was the information for the flip phone, seeing as how the smartphone didn't even have service active on it.
He act like he don't
So I only
understand.
had
Like
one phone. Another
shit, I
one
got a
was
phone now that I
basically a
do.
Wi-Fi
The
tag.
hell they talk about?
On the night in question of the party, you kept dialing one number.
Okay, Rachel.
Mr. Kennedy, whose number is 1-330-646-2269?
That's my phone number.
And whose number is 1-330-503-6585?
Oh boy, I don't know.
Well, you called that
Yeah, it's
number
about to
like
get,
50
y'all, it's about to
times.
get good, real good after
You
this
don't know
one.
whose number that is?
I mean, I would have to check my phone to look, but I don't know.
I mean, you call them at 12 o'clock at night and on. You're dialing that number, or that number's dialing you, calling you, and you don't know who that is or what number that is?
So I believe that phone number in that case, so that would be the night of the 28th.
Yes.
So I believe I was calling Ryan Weber that night. It would have to be Ryan Weber or Justin Weber.
And were they at the party?
Yes, sir.
So they're at the party, but you called them? Is that how y'all do?
So that night of the party, they ended up leaving, and I was very drunken on the floor.
All right.
Agreement that it was only gonna be.
Sorry, y'all. Y'all know I had to watch these videos. But before we start that, what y'all think so far? I think the defense is failing miserably. Keep talking about weed and Sherm and like I don't care how high the lady was. I mean, she still got killed. I mean, damn, and in the worst way. Like from what I understand, they wrapped the several cords around her neck and around her throat. So when they closed the door, I guess it strangled her. It's just a terrible way. Go ahead. I don't understand what smoking weed and what the fuck she had. What they had. I don't care if she's full of whatever. She was in her own home, first of all. You know what I mean? So so far I think they feeling. Yeah, Rachel Anderson, that's her name. The lady. I think they're failing miserably. We're gonna go ahead and get into part 3, y'all, because we got to cover this.
Last question.
Right.
Have you ever tried weed dipped in embalming fluid?
See?
Why are you shaking? Is that bizarre?
That sounds very bizarre.
That's two questions, huh? Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Mr.
He
Thomas.
petty.
Redirect.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Kennedy, the night of the birthday party, did others that were there at your apartment leave and go to a club that night?
Yes, sir.
Did you go with them?
No.
Did you stay at your apartment?
Yes, I did.
And that was because you felt you were under the influence?
Oh, I definitely was unable to move.
And the others came back, however, to the apartment that night, did they?
As far as I know, yes, but I would like you to make it aware that I was unconscious.
Okay. When you got up in the morning, were people there that had spent the night?
When I woke
Yep,
up that morning,
exactly,
Ryan
Neymar,
was
exactly.
that girl that was with him, and Tina was, yeah.
How about John and Rachel? Had they spent the night at the birthday party at your residence out in the West Side?
I don't have the proper memory to remember if Rachel and John were there first thing when I woke up, but I believe that they were, yes.
Now, you mentioned, or Mr. Thomas asked some questions about this Marilyn Monroe picture that was on the wall in Rachel's apartment. That was hanging on a wall, is that correct?
Yeah, and it's just something I vaguely noticed. For all I know, it was still there.
That's my point. You don't know whether or not that was taken or was knocked off the wall and found by the police on the floor, do you?
I know it wasn't where I'm used to seeing it. That's the
You really
best
high?
answer, I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
These other drugs, this litany of drugs Mr. Thomas asked you about, Molly, Shrum, ecstasy, LSD, were any of those drugs possessed, taken, or used the night of the birthday party?
No, sir. We did try to get a hold of Molly, but we weren't able to. So we didn't have any.
And have you ever taken any of those drugs at Rachel's apartment?
No, not me.
In fact, you gave your phone to the police, correct, upon their request on the 29th?
Upon their request.
And did you give them a DNA sample too?
I don't recall. I think so, but I don't recall.
Do you remember further investigation after you talking with Detective Welsh in the car that day?
What do you mean? Like we had contact, but there wasn't anything really further that they needed from me at that point.
Detective Welsh talked to you on the 29th in the cruiser,
Yeah.
the apartment complex. Did you talk to them after that or have contact with them after that?
I believe there was a few phone calls asking questions, and I just answered what they had asked.
Actually, he lost some weight. He said he lost 60 pounds. You talking about the man on the
Have
stand?
you ever been in that car
Or,
Rachel's that Mr.
Anthony Parker.
Thomas asked you about?
Yes, I have been in Rachel's car before.
And those blunts that he pointed out in one of those photographs, what's a blunt?
A blunt would be a old cigar wrapper that has weed inside of it.
And how do you prepare that with the marijuana and the cigar?
Now here they
you
go.
just crush down the marijuana.
I guess I would do that
split
too on
the Philly,
crops.
disregard and throw out the tobacco.
I don't
Put
understand why
marijuana
they
in the
drag
place of that,
feet
and you
like,
just
oh man.
flip it over the whole way through, dry it off, and light it when you're ready.
And did Rachel smoke blunts?
She was unable to roll a blunt, so I normally would roll the blunts for her.
And you believe those ones that were on the table that Mr. Thomas pointed out in the photograph, you believe that if they were there at Rachel's house, that you would have prepared those blunts?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned, or Mr. Thomas asked about a bowl and a jar. If I understood your testimony, you said that a jar of marijuana was missing from the apartment. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Is that separate from this bowl Mr. Thomas asked you about?
Separate.
There are two items that were used to
Say,
keep
what's the name
marijuana in.
Now, the
Rico?
thing that was missing
Because
was the
I think
jar.
Marie drove her car. The Marie car.
Mr. Thomas asked you if you and or
She
Tina
needs some-
had spent the night at
Probably
Rachel's
needs some
apartment
reps.
before.
Could have asked.
How many occasions do you think you and Tina would have stayed at Rachel's apartment?
Honestly, we didn't stay there that much. I would say in total.
I'll be back, y'all.
No more than like 5 or 6 times in total.
And would Rachel periodically stay at your and Tina's apartment out west?
Yes, she would stay there quite often.
Oh, I have no other questions. Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Rick. You may.
So, just briefly, and I believe you answered to a degree, I just want a clarification. Did you, Rachel, and your wife Tina have LSD at Rachel's?
No, sir.
Did you have LSD at your house?
No, sir.
So you, Rachel, and Tina never had a trip, a LSD trip?
We have had an LSD trip.
And that was at your house?
It was at my house, but not during that time.
It was January, wasn't it?
I believe it was January.
After you had passed out and you woke up and Justin was still there, right? Justin didn't go with them either, did he? You and him stayed at your apartment?
I believe so.
That's the one you were calling?
Yeah, so I was very intoxicated that night. So I'm not entirely sure.
So you passed out. You don't know what drugs anybody was doing after you passed out.
There were no drugs in my... No, it was still there.
That's my point. You don't know whether or not that was taken or was knocked off the wall and found by the police
No,
on
it
the floor,
wasn't.
do you?
1 or 2. I left and I was very intoxicated. After everybody left, I was still there for a little while awake, and then I woke up and it was morning.
Okay. So after that, when they went to the club and came back, you don't know what drugs were being used, do you?
No, sir. As far as I'm aware, no other drugs were being used whatsoever.
Okay. And people have used other drugs in the past, right? Just not on this day, right?
Just not on that day.
Not on their birthday celebration, right?
Not to my knowledge, no.
And I believe you indicated that you gave the flip phone to the police. Or do you know what day you gave it to them?
The day that they got my phone was the day of this incident.
Okay. On January 29th.
Mm-hmm.
And as of today, as we sit here today, they never actually have looked at your smartphone, have they?
No, I don't think so. They took them both that day, and then I got it back 6 hours later when they let me out of that wagon.
Thank you, sir.
They should be finished with him by now. And all they doing is talking about
Thank you,
weed.
Mr. Thomas. All right, Mr. Kennedy, you can step down, sir. You're not to discuss your testimony with anyone while this case is still pending.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, counsel, please. Okay, State may call the next witness.
Thank you.
Your Honor, please call Officer Frank Sclafani.
swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer unto God under the pains and penalties of perjury. You may be seated. Yes, ma'am. There you go.
Say she put the thing on.
Okay, it's important that you speak up loud enough for the ladies and gentlemen to hear you.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Okay, for the record, if you would please state your name, spelling your last.
Frank Sclafani, Sclafani.
Thank you. You may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, officer.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Is your name Frank,
Yes,
or is it Francis?
birth name's Francis, but known by Frank.
Just
However you want to,
And Officer Sclafani, who are you currently employed by?
City of Columbus.
And in what unit?
Currently work for the Mobile Crisis Response Unit.
And you work the City of Columbus for the police department?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and where do you work right now, you said?
I work in the Mobile Crisis Response Unit.
And what is that?
We respond to individuals in crisis or try to assist people who are going through crisis and provide resources and follow-ups.
Could you slide it just a little bit closer to the mic?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, everybody's got to make sure they hear you.
That's okay. Sorry if I wasn't loud enough.
Are you a little nervous?
A little bit, yeah.
I promise they don't bite.
That's okay.
Officer, how long have you worked for Columbus Police Department?
14 years
And how long have you been on your current assignment?
since October
Of,
of 2019.
okay. What did you do before that?
I worked for Zone 2 Day Midwatch on the east side.
And you're gonna have to explain to us, what is Zone 2?
Zone 2 is just the area that I was working is known as the east side.
The east side, you said?
Yeah.
Can you give us kind of some main intersections?
Broad and James was the main intersection for the precinct I was working mostly, which is 9 precinct. Each zone consists of 4 precincts, but I typically worked on 9.
Okay. You said day watch. What does that mean?
We overlap first shift and second shift. This way runs can be covered while they change out
What were your hours?
from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
And also, could you explain to the ladies and gentlemen, what are your duties as a patrol officer?
We respond for calls for service and assist anywhere where needed.
When you say calls for service, could you give us some examples of what those would be?
They can be checking the well-being of somebody or domestic or missing persons or narcotics complaint. It could be a disturbance of any kind.
And were you working in Zone 2 on day watch
shit.
on January 29th of 2018?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know Cardinal Creek Apartments?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Could you explain to us what the nearest major roadway that everybody would know?
James Road.
James Road?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you called out to Cardinal Creek
Okay, little
on the
gal.
29th to do a well-being check?
Yes.
Could you explain how you got that call?
Was dispatched along with another officer, and it was, I guess, checking the well-being of somebody who hadn't shown up for work.
When you say dispatch, what does that mean?
That means radio calls us over our radio, or I guess over the radio, and they just give us, tell us that we're needed in a specific area for whichever the call for service is.
Okay. And was this around lunchtime, you think?
Early afternoon,
Because what were your hours again?
9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Kind of right in the middle
Yeah.
of your shift?
Yeah.
What is a well-being check?
Well-being check can be a lot of things. Sometimes either juveniles are being left unattended, an elderly that they haven't heard from in a while, or in this case, somebody hadn't shown up for work. Want to make sure they're okay.
Was this normal to get these requests?
Yes, ma'am.
What would you normally do if you're asked to check on the well-being of somebody?
We try to make contact at the door, check to see if the residence is secure. And if anybody's outside, we can ask, hey, have you seen this person?
Oh, I got some on my purse.
That's typically it.
And on January 29th, 2018, were you alone or with a partner?
I was riding by myself, but had responded on this particular run with another officer who was also working one officer unit.
Oh,
What
yeah.
was the first thing you did when you arrived at Cardinal Creek?
I don't recall specific details. It's been a couple of years, but I know the other officer was already on scene and he was speaking to the gentleman outside when I pulled up.
Do you remember vaguely what this gentleman looked like?
Remember he was shorter, possibly business attire, nothing else specific.
Okay. You said you thought the other officer was talking to him?
Yes, ma'am.
Whoever don't
Did
suffer
that
with allergies, y'all are lucky people.
individual
It is
state
terrible,
concern to
man.
you?
Yeah, he just reiterated
Absolutely
what was on
horrible.
our dispatch run, which is details of that also come up on a computer we have in the cruiser. That he had some concerns that she didn't show up for work, and this was not like her to at least call or reach out if something like that was going to happen.
Did you also learn of a
She
fire
worked.
hazard
She was gonna
potentially?
be a mortician.
Yeah, I guess he pointed out there was candle burning.
I think you
inside.
gotta
She
be a
pointed out to
special
the other
person for
officer,
that job.
and we discussed that.
And then did you go to the leasing office?
I did actually. While the other officer stood by with him, I went to the leasing office, and
Okay. Tell me, why'd you go to the leasing office? Why'd you just break down the door?
we didn't have any probable cause to break down the door. Just candle burning inside. Nobody answering the door is not enough circumstance to do that, but enough for us to say there's concern. It looks like somebody may have possibly been home at one time, and to talk to the leasing agency who else might be on the lease that can confirm she's okay.
And generally, when you're asked to do these well-being checks and it's condo or an apartment, do you go to the leasing agent?
Not typically.
Okay. Why did you do it in this case?
The overly concern of that, and plus, having a candle burning inside. I just want to make sure, I guess, if there was somebody else who could confirm she was okay, to kind of give her job a peace of mind. Maybe there was some miscommunication.
Okay. When you went to the leasing office, did you have a conversation with the leasing agent?
I did.
And what did you ask her to do?
I asked her if anybody else was on the lease besides the one we were looking for. And she said she was able to, she pulled it up, lease agreement, and there was another name on there.
Okay. And in your presence, did she call somebody?
She did.
Okay. Did you kind of have to wait around for a little bit?
Yeah, we were in there for a little while. I don't know exactly how long, but she made a phone call.
Okay. And at this point, did you still have any reason to go into the home?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So tell me what happened after she got off the phone the second time. Did you guys go to the apartment?
Yes.
Tell me what happened then.
Prior to leaving there, she was talking to, I guess it was a boyfriend who was also on the lease, and I guess it took a little convincing to say, hey, they just want to make sure that, she's okay if she's in there, she's not hurt or fell or whatever. We have a candle burning at the same time, and then I'm pretty sure he was pretty specific to saying, because she then put him on speaker, and he's like, well, you can go in and check it. And so we just stood by and didn't feel that we were, didn't want to push the issue. I was satisfied with the fact that he was willing to at least let her go check.
Okay. And did she go into the apartment in your presence?
She did.
Did you go into the apartment at that point?
No, ma'am.
From what you can remember, I know it was a couple years ago, but did she have to use a key?
I believe so.
About how long do you think she was in there?
I couldn't say. It couldn't be more than 5 minutes.
Okay. Did she come back out with anybody?
No, ma'am.
Okay. What'd you do at that point?
At that point, we explained to the gentleman that was there, we kind of went above and beyond to make sure, and we can't, press the issue anymore. If they hear anything else or he has any more information, then please feel free to give us a call. But we cleared the run at that time.
Say cleared the run. What does that mean?
I'm sorry. The dispatch run. So usually we just refer to it as the run, and then from that point we were clear from our duties at that moment.
Okay. Later on that afternoon, around 3 o'clock, did you actually go back to that apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what you were doing at the time.
Well, I was currently dispatched on a different run. I had just been dispatched, and I heard another run go out, and they mentioned Allegheny Avenue. So I looked it up, and it was where I was earlier in that day. So I called dispatch on the radio, and hey, do me a favor, can you take me off the run I'm on and put me on the other run, and so I can follow up and see what's going on.
Okay. And then did you have occasion to speak with anybody from the young woman's family?
I did. At that moment, I pulled over and I called the caller on the run, which I believe is the mother.
Okay. Without saying what she said, did she seem concerned?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What did you do at that point?
I just respond directly to the address on Allegheny.
Okay. When you got there, do you remember, was anybody standing outside the apartment?
Right.
Yeah.
Because I was in the kitchen when I
the leasing agent was out there, and there was a gentleman, and I believe there was a third person that was with them.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you to keep your voice up if I'm
Yeah.
not in trouble.
I'm trying to recall at the same time, so I apologize if I drop my voice down a bit.
No problem. So you said the leasing agent and another gentleman.
Yes.
Is this the same or a different gentleman than the one earlier in the day?
No, the guy from earlier wasn't out there this time. It was.
So you pull up, what happens next?
At that moment, I had pulled up, and after speaking to the mother, what I did was, because of the mother's concern, and I can hear that in her voice, I'm a parent as well. So being out there a second time and having these extra concerns, after I'd pulled up and they were kind of waving me down, I was on the radio with our communications channel, which is a different channel on our radio that we can communicate with to they provide other services for when we have somebody missing.
Sometimes we can. Some people lives I can rewind.
Checking the well-being at this point.
Right.
We feel that this person might be missing.
Maybe there's something
So
in
I'd
the
ask them
settings
to run
I'll
a
check
cell phone
later.
ping,
But
and that
yeah, I see some
generate
people.
the
Guys, I
area
can
where
rewind.
their cell phone might be if it was active at that time. So while I was doing that, if I'm free to speak,
Click on the live.
the leasing agent had
See if
opened the door.
It goes off and then
Unbeknownst to
rewind.
me at that time that they were going to actually go in at that time, but I still didn't have anything to go inside. So as they went in, and I was doing that, that's when the burst had unfolded.
So you said I'm going to back you up a little bit. The
Absolutely.
communication channel. Explain to me a little bit more. You said run a cell phone ping.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have to have a cell phone number to run that ping?
Yes.
Okay. And I mean, how does that work? Not asking for all the science, but how does that work? You give them the cell phone number, then what happens?
I don't know, like you said, the science behind it. From experiences, I've learned that it's helped us find people who are even in crisis situations that are moving about different parts of Columbus, and we were able to they use word triangulate a location.
Okay. So you're sitting in the car doing that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And about how far was your patrol car parked from the front door of the apartment?
Probably maybe 2 spots over. It wasn't right in front.
Did you have your window down or your door open or something?
I had my door open.
And so you started to say that's when things started to unfold. What do you mean by that?
No, moments after they had entered, I still kind of see the leasing agent in the front area. I heard a scream, and followed by that scream, the gentleman who was outside, initially that went inside, was coming
Okay, so they
back
get
out.
into these surveillance
And,
videos.
You can see, I guess he had a pale look on his face, but he was very, like, he's trying to tell me what's going on, and then pointed inside and said upstairs in the closet, she's in there. Something to that effect. I don't know the words verbatim, but I ran inside.
You said he was pale,
Yeah, well, he appeared pretty freaked out.
pretty freaked out. Okay. So at that point, do you have reason to go into the apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
So what did you do at that point?
I went inside the apartment and went directly to where he said go. He said upstairs in the bedroom in the closet. I ran into the apartment and upstairs and to the closet, and the closet door was ajar to where I can see Miss Anderson.
You could see what?
Miss Anderson, sorry.
That's okay. You say the closet door was ajar. Was it wide open or just a little bit open? Tell me more about that.
Half, probably close to halfway open.
And officer, do you wear a body-worn camera?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you tell me how those get turned on?
I would just push a button right on the front.
And when are you trained to turn those on?
Anytime there's enforcement.
So during this second time that you're at the apartment, when you're actually going in,
Mhm.
did you turn on your camera?
Yes, ma'am.
Did we review that today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your Honor, if I may. Officer, I'm going to show you some marked for identification purposes, State's Exhibit W, if I may, Your Honor.
Yes, you may.
And the recording for the record is at 00. Officer, do you recognize that first shot?
Yes, ma'am.
What is that?
That's the from the inside at that looking outside front door.
And what is this point of view coming from?
It's coming from my body camera.
Officer, is there audio always playing on your body-worn camera?
Not the first, I believe, 56 seconds. There's usually no audio, but I think when you hit it, it backtracks a little bit.
I'm going to pause it at 20 seconds. Officer, why did you go look in the kitchen?
Just to make sure there was nobody else in the house. I know the only two went inside, but just at this time, this is already after everything had happened, and I already called for more officers' assistance. But I want to keep an eye on the back as well as the front.
I can't understand why they can't show it.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer, in your opinion, was this a very big apartment?
Oh,
Okay. When you arrived to Miss Anderson, did you have any indication of life?
no, ma'am.
In your observation, what did you see?
She was bound and gagged, and there was something over her head as well as around her neck, which was attached to the doorknob.
Did she look like she was breathing at all?
No, ma'am.
So at that point, what did you do?
After confirming what had happened after he ran outside, going up there, I immediately went to my radio, advised dispatch, asked for additional cars, and even medical professionals, because even though we know what's going on, we still have to have them respond.
And what do you mean when you say you know what's going on?
That she was deceased.
Can you pronounce somebody dead?
No, ma'am.
Officer, do you, as a patrol officer, investigate homicides?
No.
Whose job is that?
The detective bureau.
So how does the detective bureau know to come out to start their process?
Once we have secured the scene, we get in touch with them. Usually we contact them through the radio with them. We have to talk to them on the phone and give them a synopsis of what we have.
And did you do that in this case?
Yes, we did, ma'am.
And when you say secure the scene, what does that mean?
Make sure witnesses that are there are separated and into different cruisers, that we tape off a perimeter so nobody can come anywhere near, to protect the integrity of the scene. And that's pretty much so. Securing the scene is just making sure that it's secure. Nobody else can go inside at that point.
And in this case, did you secure 2 witnesses?
Yes, ma'am.
Did one of them give you a little attitude?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was that the leasing agent?
A little bit in between. There was she didn't want to stick around for as long as she had to, but had to keep explaining to her, the integrity of everything that was going on, how we had to explain the process to her a couple of times.
I may have a moment, Your Honor.
You may.
Officer, if you can recall from the video we just watched, when you come straight up the stairs, was there a photo or a painting that was on the ground?
Not that I recall.
If I play with that refresh?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
I'm going to pause it for the record at 29. What do you see in that still shot?
There's a photo on the bottom leaning up against the wall.
Can you tell what it appears to be?
Looks like Marilyn Monroe.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Officer, are Cardinal Creek Apartments in Franklin County,
Yes, ma'am.
in the state of Ohio?
Yes, ma'am.
And then finally, when you arrived for the well-being check, or at any point during your times at the apartment, Did you see any signs of forced entry?
No, ma'am.
Did you check?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What do you do when you're looking for forced entry? Where are you looking?
We check windows. Usually, if that's the case, screens have been removed, or door frames. You can tell they've been wedged, and the door itself, whether or not it's been kicked. And there was none of that.
Thank you very much, officer. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Naku. Cross-examination.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
My name is Isabel Dixon, and I'm one of the attorneys representing Anthony Pardon. Just want to ask a few questions so that we can all be certain of the events that transpired on January 29th, was it, of 2018?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you went out there the first time based on a call that you received for a well-being check. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know what time that would have been?
I believe it was early afternoon, late morning.
Okay. And at that time, were you wearing your body cam?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you turn your body cam on at that time?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe that you indicated that there was someone from Ms. Anderson's job who was concerned about her well-being at that particular time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so as a result of the concern, you were not able to get in, right?
Correct.
Did you actually try the door to see if you could get in?
I did not do it. Another officer might have, but
I mean, the first time that you were out there, was there another officer with you?
yes.
Okay. And so there were two of you.
Yes.
Okay. Were both of you wearing body cams or just you?
He works for a shift, so we went passing. I'm assuming that we were all issued body cameras around that time, so I don't recall if he had one at that time.
So in your cruiser with you, was there another officer riding with you?
No, ma'am.
But there was another cruiser car out there, and I'm talking about the first time you went out there.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. And did that cruiser stay there the entire time as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so when you went to the leasing office, is it fair to say that you wanted to try to gain entrance into that apartment so that you could do the well-being check, right? Was that your goal?
Well, my goal was to find somebody else that was on a lease who could help us out, at least make contact.
Well, this is on body cam, right?
Yes.
And so aren't you giving Ms. Richardson reasons that she might be able to gain entrance?
Yes, ma'am.
Such as the candle could be a fire hazard.
Yes, ma'am.
Was a potential reason to gain entrance, correct? And when you first went in, you didn't even know if somebody else was on the lease, right?
I'm sorry.
You said that you were going to the leasing office to see if somebody was on the
Okay.
lease. So when you first went there, you don't know that there's anybody else on the lease, right?
Right.
So when you're going there, you're going to try to gain entrance one way or another, right? Is that a fair statement?
That's fair.
To make sure that this young lady is okay.
Legally, but yes,
Okay.
if we could.
I'm not, no trick questions.
No,
here,
it's okay. It's kind of an open-ended question. So.
Okay. So as a result of you're trying to gain entrance, right? You're learning things about the situation, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And was it your understanding that the leasing agent was not going to just open up that apartment?
Correct.
And the funeral home people where Ms. Anderson worked had already tried that with her, to your understanding, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And was it your understanding that the funeral home employee had purchased some tires for Ms. Anderson?
I was unaware.
Okay. And you had a body cam on, right?
Yes, ma'am.
If you were to look at your body cam, would that refresh your recollection of your question of that?
About the tires?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Okay.
Okay.
And was it your understanding that one of the reasons the apartment manager wouldn't open the apartment is because the funeral home employee seemed a little different?
I don't understand the question.
Okay. Was it your understanding in trying to get this apartment, the leasing manager to open this apartment, somebody else had already tried to get her to open the apartment, right? The funeral home.
I don't know what his intentions were before we got there.
Okay. Was it your understanding that he had tried to get her to open the apartment?
No, ma'am. I know he tried to talk to the leasing agent before we did because he said, hey, I already tried talking to the leasing agent. And that's kind of where, the flag went up because I'm taking this from the beginning when I get there.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I decided to go and talk to her myself and say, well, what do you think about what's going on? And whether or not she has seen Miss Anderson around or if there was somebody else who had that she lived with, because I didn't know if she lived alone
Mm-hmm.
or if she was, if there's anybody else we can contact to try to get a hold of her
Okay.
to make it a little easier.
So you were having a conversation with the leasing agent on your own, Ms. Richardson, right?
Yeah.
And was it your understanding from that conversation that she could not legally open the apartment
Yes, ma'am.
for you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Or for that funeral home employee, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And was it your understanding that the funeral home employee had been at the wrong apartment, possibly?
I don't know Miss Anderson, and it could be a possibility. We want to make sure he's knocking at the right door, but he was pretty sure he was at the right residence when we were there.
And so do you know how long you were there that first time?
No, ma'am.
An hour?
I don't recall.
Okay. But your body cam would tell us, right? Somewhat?
It might.
Okay. And that's the reason you wear a body cam, isn't it?
It is.
So that we can know, you can know, you have a record of what happened
Yes, ma'am.
whenever you turn it on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so you've got a body cam from the very first time that you went out there, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've got a body cam from the second time you went out there, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And the body cam footage that we viewed here, was that from the first time or the second time?
Second time.
And is that the entire body cam footage?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And so when you went out there the first time, eventually you gained entrance, or not you, but the apartment manager decided to open it up, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because she got permission from someone who was on the lease, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were standing there when she called to gain permission, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And when she made the first call to get permission, was she given permission right away?
No, ma'am.
She had to wait for the person to call back, right?
I believe that's correct.
Do you know how long she waited for the person to call back to give her permission to enter in the apartment?
It wasn't very long, but as far as time scale, I could say.
But your body cam would tell us that, wouldn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Hey, Porter.
And when she ultimately, we're talking about the first time, when she ultimately got permission to go in, you went with her to the apartment, but not in the apartment, correct?
That's correct.
And you said she was in there for about 5 minutes.
It wasn't in there very long.
Okay.
Maybe safe to say about 5 minutes.
Okay. And she came back out, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you do any follow-up questions with the apartment manager, Ms. Richardson, when she came back out?
I don't recall. I know.
So, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I don't recall.
Okay. So you didn't ask her about the condition of the apartment, if anything looked out of place, if there was anything that looked like foul play could have taken place?
I don't recall.
If you don't recall if you asked her that?
Right.
And you were there on a wellness check though, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But didn't ask any of those questions?
I didn't say that.
You just don't recall
I just
asking
don't
them.
recall what was asked. Yes, ma'am.
So you may have asked him, but you don't remember asking.
Correct.
Okay. Did you have your body cam on at that time?
I believe so, ma'am.
Okay. And now, the second time, right, that you go back out there, that's based on different concerns about the same individual. Is that
Correct.
fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so the second time when you go back out, the apartment manager is standing on the outside of the apartment,
Yes, ma'am.
And who else is standing on the outside of the apartment that you recognize? Anybody?
There was, I believe there was a male and a female that was standing out there with them.
Okay. And did the male flag you down?
When I pulled up, he was kind of trying to get my attention at
Okay.
the same time.
And did the male tell you anything?
At that time, I don't recall a conversation with him before he went inside.
So you stood outside while the male went inside.
Yes, ma'am.
Did Ms. Richardson go inside with the male?
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you were standing outside.
I was by my cruiser and I was on my radio.
Okay. Did they leave the door open? Did they go through the front door, first of all?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they leave the door open?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so how long were they in there that time?
Not very long, a few moments.
Okay.
I can't recall exactly how long.
Okay, and so then what happens next? You're outside, they're inside, what happens?
I hear the man scream
Okay,
and come out, and hopefully that answered your question. I mean, that's what happened next. He started screaming after he was in, and that immediately caught my attention.
okay. And who came out first, the male or the female, or Miss Richardson?
I don't recall.
Okay, but both of them came out,
Yes, ma'am.
okay? Did they ever go back in?
When I was upstairs, I can't say for sure.
What about when you were downstairs?
They were standing by the doorway.
So the male or the female never came back in when you were downstairs?
Correct.
Okay, and you have a body cam that would tell us accurately what happened, correct?
Yes, it would be more accurate.
And so did the male tell you anything after he had come downstairs?
Just screaming about what was going on upstairs, and I need to go check.
Did he tell you he had touched the wire?
Not at that time.
Okay, and your body cam, again, would be an accurate depiction of what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you said something about securing the scene. Is that your job?
Yes, ma'am.
And what does it mean to secure the scene?
It means a lot of different things. Getting the witnesses secured in cruisers, securing the perimeter, putting up some scene tape so nobody crosses that into the scene.
And I think you also indicated on direct, you want to make sure the witnesses are separated.
Yes, ma'am.
Why is that?
Just to help the integrity of each of the witnesses, and the detectives, when they come out, when they speak to them, that they can have individual statements.
When you say the integrity of the witnesses, please explain to the jury, what do you mean integrity of the witnesses?
So we don't have the witnesses talking too much about what's going on within, I guess, the scene. We try to keep them as separate as soon as possible, just they don't, I guess, can't talk too much about it.
And you want the statements to be that person's statement, right? You don't want that person's statement to be tainted by another person's statement, do you? Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay, just 1 second. Okay, Your Honor, may we approach?
You may, on or off. All right, okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm going to excuse you for about, hopefully no more than about 5, maybe 10 minutes. So I need you back in the jury room, really in about 5 to 7 minutes, okay? Again, remember the admonitions that I've given you with respect to discussing this case among yourself or with anyone else. All rise for the jury.
I tell you. I can't remember. Okay. can't remember that.
Okay. Do we need to place anything on the record at this point in time?
Well, I guess the state's concern at this point is the last issue I raised when we were at sidebar regarding still with the agreement to only play card, and now they've heard the word body worn camera 20 times. We're concerned that it gives the appearance that we're not providing evidence to the jury, so we would either request that we work some sort of stipulation that the parties agree to tell the jury, or we would ask the court to instruct them that the portion that they saw was by agreement of the parties and the rest of it.
I was like, come on, you from outside. I can listen to it.
I think that Ms. Dixon has made it clear that every single time he turned his body worn camera on, and that was not the entirety of it. She asked him that, and then she also said that the other officer that responded had a body worn camera, and then said, well, if this person said that would have been on the body worn camera, right? I mean, and so it's clear that all of the things that she has used the word body worn camera in her questioning were not on the minute we played, which again was at the defense request.
And at least my concern, Judge, is to suggest that we either didn't give them something or that we're hiding something from them, and the state wants to rebut that seeming influence.
Okay, I don't have a problem either. If you want to do a stipulation that we can provide to the jury after, or if you want me to instruct the jurors.
I think we would just prefer that it be done before they go home today.
Okay.
And Judge, I would like to see what that's all about in terms of what instructions you given. I don't want the jury to think that the state of Ohio is not providing us with everything. We certainly that the state of Ohio has provided us with the snow. But as far as why it wasn't played in its entirety, I don't know what the court can instruct on that.
That's right. Drop y'all,
What I
drop
would
the
indicate
thing,
to
channel
the
holders
ladies
in
and gentlemen
here.
of the jury,
I know what to
that
do,
during
Vines.
this witness's testimony, that they had an opportunity to see portions of his body camera. There were other portions that they did not see, and they did not see those portions by agreement of the attorneys. That's what I would say.
And that would be acceptable to the state.
Well, I mean, just like the state's concerned with, you know, them not thinking, I don't want to think that we're violating any agreement either.
Your Honor, I asked the question because he couldn't remember things. That's the only reason I brought it up, because he couldn't remember things.
Well,
But the concern that I have is what was expressed during sidebar, which is there was an agreement that there was only going to be a portion that was going to be used. Clearly, we've used now a little bit more than what was agreed to. And so if that agreement hadn't been made, then okay, it's fair game. Because of the fact that that agreement has been made, and what apparently has happened now is something slightly outside of that agreement.
But Your Honor, let's be,
Hold on, one at a time.
if we're being clear, even if there was no agreement, there, I believe, would be a foundation that we could lay to get to get that whole video played. I would agree.
Oh, wow,
And
Ms.
so
Aquarius.
I actually, when I wanted to play it in its entirety, felt like this would have solved the whole problem. So now here's the entire video. So there was no intention on my part to imply that the state is hiding anything.
No, I'm not taking that, but and this is just my assumption. If there were no agreement, then the state may have played the video in its entirety for the jurors to see. And it was based upon the agreement that they did not. So if there were not an agreement, I agree with you. I think both of you would have had the opportunity to play as much of it as you wanted to.
But Judge, I think the issue here is Isabella's questioning of the officer about other cams. I don't think we violated any agreement because they're not going to play any more of the video than we agreed.
There's not going to be any plan of any more video, and we agree because you already ruled it.
That's not the issue. The issue is the multiple references to the rest of the body cam that they haven't seen that is suggestive of the fact that we hid something from the jury. And I'm not saying that Ms. Dixon cannot ask about people's inability to recall things. However, there are ways to do it where you don't say the rest of the body cam in every single question. Is there anything that would refresh your recollection? Did you have on a body camera? Would reviewing that help with your memory? And then we could have taken a break instead of 10 or 15 questions that talked about the rest of the body camera. That's the issue.
Why she didn't say that when they was talking about that weed for an hour and 10 minutes? Now she get mad because they asking different questions to the officer about the body cam, but still, y'all should have did that a long time ago. Okay, we got about 2 more minutes on this video.
We would have stuck to that. There was no agreement. The agreement was that we would only play certain portions.
Right. But here's the concern. Again, if there were an agreement as to, I don't know, let's use a different example, that only certain photographs would be used. And then you start asking questions about photographs that were agreed that they weren't going to be used. So there's now an implication out there about these additional photographs. And what about these additional photographs that everyone's talking about now that were never presented to them? Just like the stipulation that I read earlier,
we appreciate you.
That Defense Exhibit 1 was a portion of Rachel Anderson's apartment rental paperwork. What I'm going to provide to them is just that the video that they saw was just a portion of the video camera or the body-worn camera that the officer had. I don't know that that implies anything one way or the other, just telling them about the evidence that they have. And again, I don't know if this is something that we'll be dealing with later as to whether there's going to be a move to admit that. And if so, my assumption is that what would be admitted is what was agreed to by the parties in advance, not the video in its entirety.
Miss Aquarius, do you have a
admit
channel?
the other part
Do you
for
go live?
appellate purposes for any arguments that you want to make. But if at this point the defense were to move to admit it in its entirety, okay, then I would have some issues or concerns at that point in time.
That's right, Jan.
Of doing so.
And I think that the state's concern is that as you just said, Defense Exhibit 1, we agreed to the admissibility and the authenticity of it. But since it's on the stipulation, the parties have agreed to it. And so since the body camera is not now, that's why we're raising it.
I know you can all natty. Just give me a minute, child.
There's a portion in those
Those supersonic
but that's
ears.
by agreement of the
Just
parties.
hold on.
And so that there's no negative connotation to that. And so that's why we're raising it.
But I don't think we've read the stipulation yet, so I don't have a problem with saying that it's a portion of the body cam.
That what was viewed by the jurors
It's a
today
portion of-
was just a portion of the.
By agreement of the parties.
Okay.
Right?
Just making sure. I was gonna put you out there.
Issue with that. I don't think he did you?
Larry did.
I didn't want to say that there was any mistake on our part either.
I'm not blaming anyone for anything. Okay. Probably the appropriate time, just so that I'm not drawing any more attention to it than there needs to be, is after the testimony, just letting the jurors know that what they had an opportunity to see was just a portion.
By agreement.
By agreement of the parties, yes.
That's the important part.
Okay. So, okay. Now, Officer Sclafani.
Sir.
Okay, having had an opportunity to review what you had an opportunity to review outside the presence of the jury, does that refresh your recollection?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Wait, if I
You'll
turn
be
my
allowed
mic
to
off,
ask some questions.
can y'all still hear the?
All right, anything else we need to get on the record at this time before bringing
Oh
the
man,
jurors
her
back in?
supersonic ear. Nah, I'm gonna have to
All
get
right.
Lily back up
Okay,
here.
Mrs. Harper. Thank you, everyone. All rise. May be seated. Ms. Dixon, you may inquire.
Thank you. Having been able to refresh your recollection, Officer Sclafani, the male walked the perimeter of the apartment once you got back downstairs, isn't that correct?
Can you restate the question?
Okay. The male walked around the living room of the apartment, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the male said he touched the wire, isn't that also correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Redirect.
One moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Officer, just briefly, when your recollection was refreshed, do you remember the demeanor of that male at that point?
He was crying and on the phone.
He was crying and what?
He was crying and he was on the phone.
Okay. And I think Ms. Dixon said that he walked around the living room. What do you remember him? Was he walking around the living room? Was he touching everything? Or what was he doing?
When I came down the stairs, he was pacing to the right side of the living room, which is opposite the door, and then came back. So he walked to one end of the living room and then back to the door.
And then what did you ask him to do?
Step outside.
And did he do that?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was his demeanor when you asked him to step outside?
He was still carrying on and then changed his attention to who he was talking to on the phone.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Van Coolen. Recross. You may.
Officer Sclafani, I'm gonna hand you
Yes, ma'am.
our defense exhibit 2. Does that look like the gentleman who was walking around the apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And Officer Sclafani, the male came from outside back into the apartment, isn't that correct?
I would say he may have. After I went inside, I didn't know what happened behind me at that moment.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Okay, officer, you can step down. You're not to discuss your testimony with anyone while this case is still.
Understand, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, during the testimony of Officer Sclafani, okay, you only saw a portion of the body-worn camera. You saw the portion of the body-worn camera that was agreed to by the parties in this case, okay? That was just a portion that you had a chance to see. I just want to make sure that the record is clear and that you understand that. All right. Okay, I'm going to release you for the day. Need you back here tomorrow morning again before 9 a.m. and we will get started as close to that time as we can. All right. Again, remember the admonitions that I've given you with respect to discussing this case among yourselves or with anyone else. Obviously, okay, you've heard the opening statements of counsel and some of the evidence. And again, invariably, what's occurred in court today is going to be available to friends and family. And they are going to want to begin telling you what they had a chance to hear or see. And you need to make it very clear to them that they cannot, nor obviously can you seek or obtain any information outside this courtroom. Their perspective, their understanding does not matter, okay, and should not be part of your consideration. At some point in time, I will advise you that you need to decide this case for yourself, but only after having discussion with the other members of the jury. Okay? The time for those discussions obviously are not now, nor can you decide the case for yourself if you're having conversations with people outside the jury who are giving you their opinion. And so as I indicated yesterday, the great thing is you can talk about anything but the case. So please have a safe trip home, have a safe trip back here tomorrow. See you a little bit before 9, or get here before 9. We will start it as close to that time as we can. All rise for the jury.
All right. All right. So we're gonna get into date 2. I don't know. Let me see. We'll just go with the flow, but I know we definitely gonna get through this. We'll see how much more we're gonna get through. But this is day 2, part 1 coming up.
May be seated, ladies and gentlemen. All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome back to courtroom 4B. Okay, at this time, we will continue with the state's presentation of its evidence. You may call your next witness.
Your Honor, the state will call John Anderson.
Good morning. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer unto God under the pains and penalties of perjury? You may be seated. Again, it is important that you speak up loud enough so that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury can hear you. All right, for the record, if you would please state your name, spelling your last.
John Anderson, Anderson.
Thank you.
May I approach first?
You may.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You may inquire.
Thank you. Good morning. You have to answer out loud.
Good morning.
I like your hair.
Thank you. Matching a little bit.
A little bit.
Looking good.
How do you feel about being here this morning?
Of course, I'm nervous.
Nervous. Okay. You've been here since we started the trial.
Yes.
You're sitting with your family.
Yes, I am.
Who else is part of your family?
My dad and my mom.
Okay. And was Rachel part of your family?
Yes, she was my older sister.
Your older sister. How old are you, John?
I am 20 years old now.
So back when this happened, were you 18?
Yes, ma'am.
You said she's your older sister?
Yes.
How much older than you?
I believe 5 years.
How was that growing up?
It was all right. You know, typical older brother.
Annoying little brother?
Annoying little brother, yes. Yeah.
Did you guys eventually start to get along a little bit better?
Of course. As soon as we hit that certain age, I turned 18 and grew up a little bit.
Okay. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Warren, Ohio.
Rachel too?
Yes.
Your parents still live up that way?
Yes, they do.
Did you go to high school there?
Yes, I went to Warren G. Harding High School.
Is that also where Rachel went?
Yes.
Are you currently working or in school now?
Yes, I am working and in school.
What are you studying in school?
Criminal justice.
Is that a new thing that you're studying, or have you been studying that since you started college?
I've been studying that since I started college.
What do you want to do when you're done with college?
I'm undecided right now.
Okay. Will you tell me just a little bit about Rachel? What did she like to do?
She just going out, having a good time with friends. She loved hanging out with me, and she loved being home with our family and stuff. She didn't really have too many hobbies, but she was just more of a social being. She loved her job. She loved working with families at the mortuary, at the funeral home, and that was her. She was
Okay.
just a lovely person.
Okay, and you mentioned that she worked at a funeral home, and we've heard that before. Do you have any idea how she got interested in that work?
I do not. I know she started out with nursing, but then she transferred into it.
Okay, and so in order to do that, she had to go to school someplace?
Yes.
Where did she go to school?
She started out at Youngstown State University, and then she transferred to CCMS, Cincinnati College for Mortuary Science, I believe.
Okay. And eventually she ended up moving to Columbus?
Yes.
When she moved to Columbus, that would have been maybe in the spring of 2017, around then. Does that sound right?
I believe, yes.
And where were you living then?
I was still at home in Warren.
Still at home in Warren. Eventually, were you still in high school when she moved here?
When she moved here, no, I started college.
So at some point then, did you have a chance to come and visit her?
Yes.
Now you visited, we've already heard that you visited her in January of 2018. Had you visited her at her Allegheny Avenue
feel sorry for
apartment
that
before
kid.
then?
I can't say I don't remember.
So this could have been the very first time you visited her there?
Yes.
Why were you coming in to visit her?
It was her birthday weekend.
How did you get here?
I drove.
Did anybody come with you?
Nope.
Do you remember what day you got here? Not the date, but what day of the week?
I believe I got here Friday.
This is that same weekend we've been talking about, that Friday. What day was her birthday?
Her birthday was the 28th.
Was that Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. So you came in on Friday, then that would be the 26th.
Yes.
And you drove here, you said. Now, at Rachel's apartment, we'll see some pictures in a little bit, but did she have more than one bedroom?
Well, she had two, but the other one was filled with her stuff because she was still organizing.
Did it have a bed in it?
No.
So what in the world were you going to sleep on?
I brought an air mattress with me. It's a blow-up mattress.
Okay. Didn't bother you? Didn't make you all achy like some of us older people might be?
It did. It did, of course.
Okay. All right. So you brought the air mattress. Where did you set it up?
I set it up in the living room.
So you came in on Friday. Did Rachel work that day?
Yes.
Did you guys do anything after she got off of work?
No, I believe she just had John and Tina come over with, I believe Ryan, and we just hung out there for the night, and I know they later left that night.
And when you say there, where are you talking about?
Her apartment.
And you mentioned John and Tina. Would that be John Kennedy that we saw yesterday?
Yes, John Kennedy.
Did you know them before you had come to visit that weekend?
I knew of them. I didn't know them. Personally, that was my first time meeting John in person. And then I also met Tina because I didn't know he was actually married. So,
were you aware of who they were?
yes.
Rachel's friends?
Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned somebody named Ryan.
Ryan Weber?
Did you know Ryan before you came to visit?
No.
What kinds of stuff did you guys do that Friday night at Rachel's?
Hung out at her apartment, watched Netflix and YouTube videos, smoked some weed, drank a little bit. And other than that, that was it.
Did Rachel smoke cigarettes?
Occasionally. She was more of a vapor than a cigarette smoker at that point.
And when you say vapor,
Like e-cigarettes, like vaping, stuff like that.
I think most of us know, but I just want to make sure we're clear.
Okay.
And then you mentioned, did you say where everybody went at the end of the night?
I don't know where they went. I believe they went back to their apartment, but me and Rachel stayed at her apartment.
Okay, so you and Rachel stayed at the apartment. So the next day is going to be Saturday. Did Rachel stay there or did she have to go someplace?
Rachel had to go to work that morning.
And then what were you going to do all day?
Just hang out, play Xbox, and I went down to Columbus and got something to eat downtown, and then I just drove around for a little bit and came back.
So when you're driving around, whose car are you driving?
My car.
When you're getting in and out of Rachel's house, did you have your own key?
No, she actually gave me a key.
When she gave you her key, can you tell me, was it just the key itself? Was it attached to anything or something else?
It was originally attached to her lanyard, like her key lanyard with her car keys and her other keys for the funeral home, I believe. She took it off that and handed it to me, and I put it on mine.
Okay. And then you mentioned her keys. You said something about a lanyard. Did she have something distinctive or, something you would recognize as, oh, those are Rachel's keys?
Yeah, I would be able to recognize them, but I don't know specifically what it would be. I can't give you a good idea of what it is, but I know what it looks like.
Okay. You used the word lanyard.
Yes.
Do you mean one of those things that goes around your neck?
Yes.
Would she keep other keys? I think you mentioned besides her house key on that.
Yes. Her car keys, and I believe she had keys to the funeral home.
When she went to work, how'd she get there?
She drove her car.
When you were there that weekend, did you notice where she would park?
Yes.
Where would she park?
She would park either right in front of her door at the apartment or one spot to the left of that.
So you're hanging out, waiting for Rachel to get home. You go and get something to eat, playing some Xbox, being 18.
Yeah.
Later on, we're going to hear about some evidence collected from Rachel's house and a bathrobe that has some of your DNA on it.
Okay.
Okay. Can you tell me how it got there?
I did my childly business in her bathroom because I wanted to be respectful about that. And I used that towel, bathrobe at the time, I thought it was a towel, to clean myself. And then after that, I went back upstairs to take a shower and I reused that same bathrobe as a towel. So I don't really recall using it for anything else other than that.
Okay. How many bathrooms did Rachel have in her apartment?
One.
Now, so you had her key and you would come and go that day.
Yes.
At some point, did she come home?
Yes.
What did you guys do that night?
We got ready to go over to John and Tina's house, just spiffied up a little bit and went over there.
Spiffied up a little bit.
Yeah, we got ready for the night.
Put on some nice clothes.
Decent clothes.
Not a suit.
No suits.
Okay. All right.
Lord, I did that. My mic was muted. I was talking to Danielle. I said, I know you watched the case. If you're keeping up with it, a lot of these people are not following it yet. Sometimes we wait on the channel holder. So, but it's good, isn't it? Are you caught up? I'm not caught up. I think I'm not caught up with part 4. But okay, we're gonna get back into the video.
Right. Did you fix your hair?
Kind of, sort of. I mean, I wetted it.
All right. So you guys go. What were you going over to John and Tina's for?
They were having a birthday party for her.
Were you okay with heading over there?
Of course.
How'd you get over there?
We took her car.
And you say we, you mean you and Rachel?
Yes.
Did anyone else ride with you?
No.
Do you remember about how long it took to get over to John and Tina's?
About 25 to 30 minutes, I believe.
Are you very familiar with the Columbus area?
No.
That's just how long you remember. If I asked you what part of town it was on or anything, would you know the answer to that?
No.
Okay. Just that it took 25 or 30 minutes to get there.
Yes.
All right. So you guys showed up. Were there other people at John and Tina's when you got there?
No, it was just Ryan Weber, and then I believe 3 or 4 other people came later.
And who were those people? Do you know?
I believe one was Ryan's brother, and then the other 3 I did not know.
And were John and Tina there?
Yes.
What did you guys do to celebrate Rachel's birthday?
We basically hung out in his little living area and smoked some weed, drank like normal.
Yep, I did.
Basically,
I pulled
after
a
that, we
queen.
got an Uber to a club. I don't know where the club was at or the name of it, but we went somewhere downtown, and then we were there for maybe an hour to 2, and then we actually came back to John and Tina's apartment, where I fell asleep.
Do you remember who all went out to the club?
I believe it was Tina, myself, and one other guy. I believe it was one of Ryan's friends or John's friends that came with us.
Was it a dance club?
It was a dance club. Like, it did have dancing. I can't really specifically clarify what club it was, but yes.
Did you dance?
Of course.
Did Rachel dance?
Yes.
Everybody else dance?
Yes.
Have a nice time?
Yep.
Okay, and then you mentioned you went back to the Kennedys, and did you say you fell asleep?
Yes.
Did you and Rachel stay there the whole night?
Yes.
In the morning, what did you guys do?
I woke up a little later than her. She was up first, and then basically they were just talking when I first had contact with them, and we just hung out for a little bit. They spoke with each other, and then we left.
Okay, and you said they. Who are you talking about?
John, Tina, and yeah, I believe that's all who was up at that time was John and Tina.
And Rachel?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember if anybody else was in the house then?
I do not recall anybody else being there.
And then you and Rachel headed home to her apartment?
Yes.
Once you got back to her apartment, did you stay for very long?
No, I did not. I just enough time to pack up everything. So maybe 30 minutes to 45 minutes I was there, and then we parted ways.
Where were you going after that?
I was headed back to Warren to my girlfriend's house.
So this would have been that Sunday
Yes.
of her actual birthday?
Yes.
Did you guys have a birthday cake for her at the party?
Yes, we did.
Did it have a funny saying on it? Or funny depending on how you view it?
Yes, it did.
What did it say?
Am I allowed to say?
You are. I'm giving you permission.
It said, fuck bitches, get money.
Okay. All right. Was that something that you guys thought was funny? Like a joke? It was a joke for Rachel.
It was a running joke with them. I knew about the saying, but
Okay.
it was, yeah.
You're welcome for letting you swear on the record. You're welcome. All right. So you headed home to Warren. Did you talk to Rachel again after that?
I did not.
Do you remember if you gave her key back?
I did not give her key back.
The rest of that day, did you try to get in touch with Rachel?
I believe I either texted her or she texted me mentioning something about having the key, but other than that, she wasn't too worried about it because I knew about the other key that they had.
That who had?
John and Tina had.
When did you first learn that something was wrong?
Monday afternoon, well, morning, because my dad called, or one of my parents called me, said, "Have you talked to Rachel?" And then it was just a quick conversation. It was abrupt. And then later on, I got a call from my dad saying I need to get home. And then that's where I then later found out she was missing, and we were unaware of her location. And then as the day went on, we found out that she was dead.
During the period of time when people were trying to get in touch with her, did you try to get in touch with her?
Yes, I did.
Were you ever able to get in touch with her?
No, I was not.
Did you or your parents ever locate Rachel's keys, that lanyard that you told me about, in her belongings?
Not that I know of, no.
If I could have one moment, please, Your Honor.
You may.
I think that's all I have. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Rauch. Cross-examination.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
My name is Isabella Dixon, and I am one of the attorneys representing Mr. Pardon. And I'm sure this is difficult. I know you're nervous. If I ask a question that you don't understand, just please stop me and I'll clarify for you, okay?
Okay.
There's no trick questions. I'm not trying to fool you or anything, okay?
Okay.
All right. So taking you back to when this happened, do you recall giving an interview with a detective, a Columbus police detective, by phone?
Yes.
Okay. And so most of what I'm going to ask you is going to revolve around that conversation that you had with that detective.
Okay.
First of all, do you recall in that telephone conversation that you strongly suspected Jonathan Kennedy?
I didn't strongly suspect him, but I did give out John Kennedy's name at that time.
Okay. And why did you give out John Kennedy's name as a suspect?
I believe John was like the only one that knew her down there.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my first guess.
Okay, well, there were some other things, weren't there?
Not that I can recall, no.
Okay. What about the fact that, didn't you tell the detective that there had been a huge falling out between Jonathan and Tina Kennedy with your sister drug-wise?
No, that isn't exactly what I meant. It was more of, I know they had a drug thing together, the LSD trip. But other than that, no, there was no significant falling out or anything like that.
Do you recall telling the detective that there was a significant falling out?
No.
Okay, if I were to play the interview with the detective for you, would that refresh your memory as to what you told the detective?
No, I do have a good recollection of what I told that detective.
Okay, listen to my question. If I were to play the interview that you had with the detective, would that refresh your memory as to what you told the detective on that day?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes. Excuse us, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the jury, we're going to take about a 20-minute break. So I need you back in the jury room, let's say at 10:10. Again, remember the admonitions that I've given you with respect to discussing this case among yourselves or with anyone else. All rise for the jury. All right, you may be seated, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, we will continue with cross-examination of Mr. Anderson. You may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. And so, Mr. Anderson, having reviewed your interview with Detective Walsh, that has refreshed your memory as to what you told the detective on that day.
Yes.
Okay. And one of the things that you indicated with respect to your sister was that she was your everything, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
And that's true, isn't it?
Yes.
And that was not a secret, was it? To
No.
her friends, to your friends, people knew how tight you were.
Yes.
Okay. In fact, so tight that when asked about your password, you told the detective that it was probably, you gave him several things, maybe the year of your birth, the date of your birth, but that those numbers would be likely her password.
Yes.
Okay. And you indicated that you did, in fact, to the Detective Welsh, that you did, in fact, suspect Jonathan Kennedy, didn't you?
Yes.
And there was a reason you suspected Jonathan Kennedy, wasn't it?
Yes.
And that reason was because of a conversation that you and your sister had about 2 weeks prior to the birthday party.
I believe 2 weeks, yes.
And during that conversation with your sister, she had indicated to you that she was afraid of John Kennedy, didn't she?
Yes.
And she was afraid because of several things. The falling out that they had, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, isn't it true that you were surprised, you indicated to the Detective Welsh that you were surprised that they were even throwing her birthday party?
I wasn't really surprised, but I was surprised that was all happening that weekend.
Okay.
Like surprised at the fact it was happening.
Because of the prior conversation you had with your sister and things that John Kennedy had done and said.
Yes.
Okay. In fact, you indicated that according to your sister, he had sexual vibes for her.
Yeah, as in he does have a thing for her. He does think she is an attractive woman.
Okay. And he was very graphical and called her names. And one of the names, he called her a virus.
Yes, but that's what she told me.
Okay. And I think you indicated that there was something about someone had tripped on, was it acid or?
Yes,
Some
LSD, yes.
And some things happened during that trip, right?
I believe, yes.
And what is it, your understanding, that happened during that trip that they had taken? Or who had taken the acid trip?
I believe it was my sister, John, and Tina.
Okay, and what had happened according to what you were told?
From
Objection.
Yeah, sustained, rephrase.
Okay. Based on information that you received, that's when sexual vibes happen, correct?
Objection.
No, overruled.
That's when sexual vibes happen, right?
I believe.
Okay. And so much so that it caused your sister fear and discomfort.
To an extent, yes.
Okay. And
okay, guys, this is what I'm gonna do. I gotta start a new stream because I guess the timing is going over, but come right back.